All right, sorry about that. Anyone watching? Most likely not. Uh, Welcome in another episode of the Couch Scouts podcast. Thanks for tuning back in. If you're listening on the podcast, or listening live on Twitch, or catching our video on YouTube, thanks for tuning in to this. What is it? Is it Sunday, Anthony? Yeah, I lose track of the days almost on the daily. Like
Yeah,
I just basically show up to work and I'm like, what day is it? What are we doing?
yeah, I think the days are now quarantine day 20 or something like that. Instead
Yeah,
of Monday, Saturday, Sunday.
yeah. Video log, quarantine day 20, still in here. But yeah, so we got another episode for you, continuing our divisional preview series. And last week was the NFC South. What?
I've been muted this whole time.
No, I can hear you.
Really?
Yeah.
My mute button on my microphone has literally been turned off. So I thought I thought you were just being professional. Like, oh, yeah. I'm
the
sorry.
the courtesy chat.
Like, let me know if this helps. If this mutes me real quick.
Okay.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Oh wow. So every episode I've been thinking I'm muting myself. Awesome.
Shoot. I don't know. Yeah. Well, I've been able to hear you, so
Sorry.
I think we're good. Man, it's just technical crazy things going on all night. But yeah, so last episode, if you caught it, was the NFC South preview, kind of breaking down team by team, position by position, player by player, the fantasy preview for different divisions. So we did the NFC South on, I think that was on Wednesday or Thursday. We're back doing the AFC South, and then we'll move on to another division coming up here in the next couple of days. But so the AFC South, you have the Tennessee Titans. Were they the wild card last year, Anthony, or did they win the division over the Texans? Do you remember?
Wild card.
They were the wild card. So I would say you have the Titans, the Texans, the two front runners for the AFC South, and then the Indianapolis Colts and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Those four teams. Some actually really good fantasy options in all four of those teams. Obviously, Derrick Henry, Deshaun Watson, used to be DeAndre Hopkins used to be the front runners in there, but he gone. So we'll be talking some studs, a couple duds who we don't think are going to do great, and talk about some players that you should be targeting as your draft approaches, or if you're in a dynasty league, some guys that might be in your free agency pool. But so we'll jump into it. But first, if you want to help support the podcast, the first thing you can do is follow us on Instagram, hit subscribe, and then second would be to follow us on Twitch, follow us on YouTube, or follow us on the Apple Podcast. That I didn't hear. And yeah, subscribe to us on there. Subscribe on our videos. Send a couple comments, what you like, what you don't like. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. That helps us out a ton. So I just say let's jump into it, Anthony. You want to start with the Indianapolis Colts? Does that sound good? Start from the bottom.
Let's do it.
So the Indianapolis Colts last year, the breaking news heading into the 2019 season. It was actually, I feel like it happened. Was it during a preseason game? I think so. I think it was like their last, either their third or fourth preseason game.
Yeah, it was towards the end because I remember I was watching Florida versus I think Miami.
Yes.
College opener.
Yep. Oh, that's right. That's right.
Breaking news at the bottom, and then obviously the league that we're in, a bunch of messages going around. I'm like, oh shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was actually in a fantasy football draft, like when that happened, and Andrew Luck got picked before I think the owner saw the news. So I kind of felt bad, but at the same time, I was just lucky that I didn't pick him.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
So that was the splash of the 2019 season. Jacoby Brissett comes in and fills in. He does all right. Nothing spectacular, but definitely it wasn't a disaster, I will say. But they make a splash in free agency this year, signing Phillip Rivers to a deal, so he leaves Los Angeles. Had to catch myself. I was about to say San Diego. Leaves Los Angeles and brings his whole football team of a family up to Indianapolis to be the starting quarterback. So I think an upgrade, to say the least, from Jacoby Brissett. How much of an upgrade it's yet to be seen. But just looking at some of the stats from last year for Phillip Rivers with the Chargers, I think what sticks out to me is only 23 touchdowns to the 20 interceptions. And this was kind of a conversation that we had with the NFC South about Jameis Winston. And you look at the yardage, you look at the completion percentage, but when you don't have that big differential between touchdowns to interception ratio, it makes you a little bit nervous, just because those are the costly interceptions that unfortunately cost the Los Angeles Chargers so many games. And it seems like they were always on the losing end of some kind of game last year. And I mean, I hate to say it, but a lot of those came, they were close games because he did throw 20 interceptions last year. But he still finished as a QB 15, 4,600 yards and the 23 touchdowns. So are you expecting a better season for Phillip Rivers with the Colts, or do you think he stays the same or decreases?
I think it'll be better in the touchdown interception ratio. I mean, he's always been a guy that takes a lot of risks.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's going to throw 20 picks again. I think he'll be a little bit smarter now. Even though I guess you've been like this your whole career, I guess I don't know if you're going to get smarter really, but he has arguably the best offensive line in football now.
Right.
So, he should have some more time to where he doesn't just have to freak out, because he's old and he's not agile, so he gets hit a lot.
Yeah.
So I think he'll be able to calm down a little bit more and know that, hey, I have a little bit more time with this offensive line.
Yeah.
Against playmakers. So
absolutely.
I think he'll be better. I mean, QB 15 is probably around where I would see him still.
Yeah.
But statistics will look better.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. From a dynasty perspective, obviously he's being drafted in the 20th round of startups, just based on the fact that he could have, this potentially could be his last year. He might play in 2021 as well, based on how he performs and health wise. But I think the only real value, I mean, he still holds value in single quarterback leagues, but you're most likely going to pick a quarterback before that. I think if you play in a 2 quarterback league, he's a great value, just because you're getting another 1 to 2 years out of him again, and he does finish in the top 20 among quarterbacks. But do you see any situation where the Colts go back to Jacoby Brissett? Other than injury, do you see any reason that they would switch it up?
I don't. I don't think you bring in. I mean, there's a lot of arguments about Phillip Rivers being a Hall of Famer. I think he probably will be.
Yeah. I
think you bring in a Hall of Fame quarterback into a situation like this, and then unless he's absolutely terrible, I mean, like god awful.
Yeah.
I don't think you bench him at all, because the reason you're bringing in a 39-year-old quarterback,
yeah,
at the end of his career, is because you didn't get it done with Jacoby Brissett. So
right.
You've seen what you want to see from him.
Yeah.
You've seen enough, I guess. Not that you've seen what you want to see. So I don't think so. I think it's Phillip Rivers all year, like you said, unless injury.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I would agree with that as well. I think I thought Brissett did well last year, but definitely not well enough to say this is our franchise quarterback. I was actually shocked when I was looking and pulling up these stats to see that he only threw for 2,900 yards. And I mean, his touchdown to interception ratio was great, but it just shows you how much they relied on the short game and on the run game. Marlon Mack last year, and the 60% completion percentage, like that kind of kills you right there.
Yeah. It's fun looking at his stats. It's kind of very comparable to Teddy Bridgewater, but we love Teddy.
Yeah.
It's really comparable. But, so, I don't know. I like Brissett, but he is your typical, very solid, perfect backup.
Yeah,
Like he just is.
yeah. I like that. Moving on to the running back. This was a back that actually, I think he was in the top 7, like halfway through the season, Marlon Mack, and then goes on to finish as
Injuries.
the running back 22. Yeah, injuries slowed him down, and then I don't even think he actually ended up. I don't think he ended up finishing the season because I remember they were running like Jonathan Williams, Jordan Wilkins, and Naheem Hines, all in that mix. So he should be back in 2020 healthy and ready to go. But before injury, he was averaging 4.4 yards per carry, 8 touchdowns, and a 1,000-yard rusher in 2020. I should have looked up how many games he actually played in there just so we could kind of compare that. But
Right.
I missed that. So I think Mac is definitely the clear running back 1 in that offense, and right now he's only being drafted in the 6th round of dynasty league. So I think it's a pretty good value there when you think about most running backs at this point are being selected just much earlier just because of the loss of value that the actual NFL has on running backs right now. So I think to be able to get a starting running back at that point in the 6th round is pretty good. I would
Yeah.
I would select him there. Um,
Yeah.
and it also depends on what they do in the draft, but I think Naeem Hines is they're pretty proven third down pass catching running back. So I think the
For
duo
sure.
there, it'd be interesting to see if they switch it up. And I
Yeah.
actually, when you look at the Chargers offense from last year, you have the combo of Melvin Gordon, Austin Eckler, and I don't think Hines is the runner that Eckler is, but he definitely kind of has that pass catching ability that you see out of the backfield from Eckler, and Marlon Mack is kind of a comparable runner to Melvin Gordon, not as involved in the pass game. So
Right.
just two similar weapons that Philip Rivers gets to have under his belt as well.
Yeah. So he played in 14 games last year, and he started 12 of them.
Okay.
So
Okay.
was a career high in both.
Okay.
Seems weird. So, but his yeah, he just each year, if you look at his 3 years in the league, each year he's become better and better.
Right.
So if he stays healthy, um, I'll be interested to see though, because Philip Rivers, he likes to chuck the ball around. So it'll be interesting to see if they'll actually
Yeah.
keep Mark Mack as involved. I think they will.
Yeah.
But that's just one interesting thing to kind of pay attention to.
Yeah.
Because with Andrew Luck and with Jacoby Brissett, it was all about, as elite as Andrew Luck was, it was all about let's establish run. Andrew Luck is so smart, one of the smartest players probably
Yeah.
ever. And he knew, like, I have to get the run game to open up my pass game. And
Right.
Philip Rivers, sometimes he just wants to open it up himself. But
Yeah. That's very true.
we saw Melvin Gordon and Austin Eckler have great years with Philip Rivers, though, like you said. So, and even LT back in the day. So, Max should still be a very, very good back.
Yeah.
And I agree. In the 6th round, that's great value.
Yeah. I think definitely probably rated higher like in a standard scoring league where it's not if it's not PPR, you see 14 receptions, that's an average of 1 reception a game. So he's definitely not going to get you those huge PPR points even if he has, some backs you can rely upon 5 or 6 points even if they have a poor rushing game, they're just always going to get those targets like Zeke, he doesn't often have off games, but when he does, he still's getting like 5 or 6 targets a game and generally hauling them in. So I think that's one thing to look at is just the deficiency in receptions, and then when you compare it to Hines, he is the clear pass catching back with 44 receptions. So he that basically alone makes him the like a dynasty valuable asset just because he is going to get those PPR points. And I actually surprised he didn't catch a single receiving touchdown last year. So I feel like this year he rushed for 2, but I feel like this year he at least has some upside to catch a few receiving touchdowns as well, which could boost his value. But I think definitely Marlon Mack is the one to own, and even when he was injured, it didn't look like Hines was going to step into that lead rushing role
Right.
whatsoever. So it would be it wouldn't surprise me if they signed a back or not signed if they drafted a back to kind of be that backup for Mac as well.
Yeah, for sure. Totally agree.
In the wide receiver department, we got we'll kind of go top to bottom, but talk about Paris Campbell. He was actually in dynasty leagues. I think he was like a top 5 pick heading into 2019 when the drafts were going on, and then had the hamstring injury, slow start to the season, and then just really couldn't get on the field. And you kept hearing reports like every time he was going to play that he was going to be heavily involved, but it never really happened for him. So, what do you expect out of the offense and just him being able to build a rapport with Phillip Rivers for 2020?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of look at it, when Travis Benjamin went to the Chargers, he his speed just kind of his speed helped that offense with Philip Rivers' deep ball
Yeah,
and that Paris Campbell was never really a deep ball catcher at Ohio State because they just like to get him the ball real quick and let him make plays with his speed. But if he
yeah,
can develop some routes into a deep ball,
yeah,
man, especially with Philip Rivers, because Philip Rivers loves to throw that 20, 25 yard. He likes to get it down the push the ball down the field.
right,
But Paris Campbell has it's not Tyreek Hill speed, but it's close.
yeah,
He can fly. So I'm really excited to see if he can stay healthy because Zach Pascal he stepped up last year. Kind of came out of nowhere.
right,
And T.Y. Hilton he's getting older,
yeah,
so they need an extra body. And if Paris Campbell can stay healthy with his speed,
yeah,
and every year he got better at Ohio State with the drops. We couldn't stand him as Ohio State fans the first couple of years because we're like, man, this dude is so fast, but he can't catch the ball. You
yeah,
know, but each year it got better, and then he just took off, and he doesn't drop anything anymore.
yeah,
So he's a great steal, because people are definitely I think people the average fantasy player or fan they might be a little down on him
yeah,
because his rookie year was very upsetting.
yeah,
Like you just said, he dealt with injuries and it just never happened quick for him.
yeah,
So if you can get him, gotta get him.
yeah,
His potential is just through the roof.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, he was a player that I was high on last year in a lot of drafts and tried to pick him up early, and then once the injury happened, it was a bummer. But you saw his stock was like soaring, and then I feel like from here on it's just gone downhill. So he's definitely a guy that you can target for a cheap price right now. And I feel like for the Colts, really the only direction that their offense can go is up at this point. Just looking at the finishes of the wide receivers last year and the running backs, and even with Jacoby Brissett at QB 24, the offense is going to be much better with Phillip Rivers under center and just a healthy receiving core. So I would definitely expect Campbell to be a highlight in that offense. And even when you look at what the LA Chargers did with Keenan Allen, he, like you said, Phillip Rivers loves like that 20-yard in, but they also run a lot of wide receiver screen plays for Keenan Allen just to get him
Yeah.
the ball in open space, and
Yeah.
that's where Paris Campbell's
That's right.
speed and agility
Yes.
really shows off as well. So
Yeah.
even if the arm strength isn't necessarily there for Rivers, they're going to design plays specifically for Campbell because he is that guy in the offense that has that speed. You talked about an aging T.Y.
Yeah.
Hilton who they might not put him in those situations as often anymore.
Yeah. No, for sure. And that's Paris Campbell's specialty. His
Right.
best rep is a screen.
Yeah.
It really is, and he did it so many. If you look at his Ohio State highlight tapes coming into the league, that's what it was. It was sweeps and screens. There's little touch passes and screens, and he takes him 70 yards all the time. So
Yeah. Gosh.
very exciting. And even Bleacher Report, I just looked up Paris Campbell to see if there's any news on him. Bleacher Report released something on him a couple weeks ago, and it said he is the #1 breakout potential star for the Indianapolis Colts. So
There you
clearly,
go.
you see what we're talking about him.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next two receivers, T.Y. Hilton and Zach Pascal, they finished. This was surprising to me as well, 57 and 52. So Pascal was actually the highest rated wide receiver for the Colts last year. I think if you look at the two differences between the ADPs, I think that's where you get the biggest value. So Pascal right now is being drafted in the 19th round. Most dynasty leagues, I would say you're going to have anywhere from 23 at the lowest to about 30 roster spots. So, he's coming in at the back end of your roster. A wide receiver that caught 40 catches last year, 607 yards and 5 touchdowns. I think that the touchdown, his upside for touchdowns was what really put him in that 52 slot, but he's definitely could be a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 in their offense in 2020 once again. And, one could argue that he does have his value is better right now than Hilton, rather than grabbing Hilton in the 7th round. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you can get him 19th round, yes, absolutely. Compared to Ty in the 7th, I think Ty Hilton's gonna have a huge year with Rivers.
Yeah.
45 catches in 10 games. That's 4.5 catches a game. It's not bad. It's really good fantasy value.
Yeah.
5 touchdowns. So
5 touchdowns. Yeah.
the fact that he played 6 less games and he still put up more catches, the yards on average is more, and then the touchdowns are right there.
True.
But when you are talking 7th round compared to 19th round, I'm sure you can find somebody like a Marlon Mack, and at the spot you can find T.Y. Hilton, and then you can get Pascal later.
Right.
Looking at it that way. So
yeah.
It's that, hey, I can get a 2 for 1 rather than just get this one right here.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really good points. I think T.Y., as long as he stays healthy, I think T.Y. is going to have a typical T.Y. Hilton year, because he finally has a gunslinger again,
right. Yeah, that's what he needs, yeah.
The back end of Peyton's career, Andrew Luck's career, and then now Rivers, because Brissett, he wasn't that, we talked about it earlier, so.
Yeah, and Hilton was off to a great start last year, before injuries, and unfortunately that's kind of the thing that owners have to be expecting and aware of, is that he has become injury prone towards the end of his career as he's getting older. So I think if he stays healthy, I think it's going to go Hilton, Campbell, and then Pascal. I think he kind of gets pushed into that wide receiver 3 spot, but Pascal's definitely a player that you can pick up late, just almost like a handcuff as an injury precaution, because you're going to want that next man up. He's proven to be a solid wide receiver in their offense. So, but I agree with you. I think if Hilton stays healthy, I think he has another great fantasy productive year.
Yeah, Pascal reminds me a lot of like a Kendrick Bourne type. It's like you don't want to like start him every week, but sometimes you're like looking at the matchups, you're like, I'm gonna start him because he has potential to score a touchdown today.
Right. Yeah. Last one is tight end Jack Doyle.
Sounds like an action figure or action character, doesn't it?
Jack Doyle. What did you say?
I like Jack Doyle.
Oh, yeah. I think
I like him.
a winner of the free agency period. He's pretty much alone as the Colts tight end right now. He's had some injury problems in the last couple of years, but when you look at what Eric Ebron was able to do 2 years ago in the Colts offense, and then you kind of look at what Jack Doyle did last year, 43 receptions, 448 yards, and 4 receiving touchdowns, finishes as the tight end 15. I don't see any reason why he can't finish at that spot again, if not higher. Eric Ebron played alongside of him in last year in 2019, and granted they both had their weeks and they both had their injuries, but when you talk about a standalone independent tight end that you can get right now in the 18th round, I think that's great value.
Absolutely. And I mean, just Phillip Rivers' career.
Yeah.
Antonio Gates.
Hunter Henry.
Yeah. Even the beginning of his career was Tony Gonzalez, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like, dude, he plays with elite. He plays with elite tight ends, but he also helps them be elite. So
yeah.
Jack Doyle could be like licking his chops right now. He's like, hey, I'm the tight end number 1.
Yeah.
I got a quarterback that loves using the tight end.
Yeah.
It's perfect. It's very, very perfect, especially if you get him in the 18th round. Tight ends are so valuable nowadays.
Yeah.
Remember when I first started playing fantasy football, it was like, I'll take a tight end like a Jason Witten or a Heath Miller.
Yeah.
off, but then it was like, I don't really care. But dude, tight ends now, man, they're some of the highest scorers every week.
Right.
You know, a legit one. So this is a good steal. Late, 18th round.
Yeah. Yeah, I love his value there. Thinking about not having to spend a third, fourth, or fifth round pick on, say, Kittle, Kelsey, or Ertz. You can spend that somewhere else, kind of like you were talking about. Get that 2-for-1 deal. Spend that on someone else. Come back and draft Jack Doyle in the 18th round. Maybe get another guy a little bit earlier than that. But it if you don't get Kittle, Kelsey, or Ertz in the first, when they go off the board, you might as well wait, just because there's not going to be a huge separation gap. But just between like the scores overall, those and Mark Andrews, those are the big scores, the guys that put up at times more points than the wide receivers on their team. So, how about the Jacksonville Jaguars, who actually had a pretty decent year last year amidst all of the quarterback changes, the injuries to Nick Foles, Gardner Minshew. But I'm actually excited to see what they do this year. They made some moves, and I think the biggest one was the trading away Nick Foles, trading away his contract, and saying we're going to roll with Gardner Minshew in 2020. Rookie last year out of Washington State, so played with Mike Leach, gunslinger, loves to throw the ball, finished it as a QB 20 last year with over 3,200 yards, 60% completion percentage, so something to improve upon there, but 21 touchdowns to 6 interceptions in 14 games.
Yeah.
What do you think about him for the 2020 season?
Yeah, the touchdown to interception ratio, like, surprised me.
Right.
Usually quarterbacks like him, like, he's like a, Brett Favre type, a Phillip Rivers type, like a gunslinger. Like, he just wants to let it fly.
Yeah.
So 1-6, I'm like, oh my gosh, dude. Like, it's legit as a rookie.
Right.
We're talking about quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, who went top 5 of their class.
Yeah.
They're throwing 20 interceptions or, double digit.
Yeah, exactly.
Came into an offense that, and lit it up. Yeah, I'm excited. I like Gardner Minshew. I think he's definitely going to be better than QB 20.
Yeah.
I don't know how much higher, just because I want to see more. Because, when that rookie tape gets out, coaches have had all offseason to watch you now. And now, especially now that Nick Foles has been traded,
Yeah.
they know Gardner Minshew is the guy.
Right.
And then if you look at the defenses that's in this division, there's some good defenses. Houston is a good defense. Indianapolis has a good defense.
Yeah.
A good defense. And then Tennessee, an elite defense.
Great defense, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I like him. I like his upside, especially now knowing that he's the guy. So, like you said, if it's a 2-quarterback lead, absolutely. Grab Gardner Minshew. If it's a dynasty, yeah, I think you can roll with him, especially in the 19th round.
Yeah.
That late. If you can roll with him for your next, 10 years maybe.
Yeah.
Dynasty, because he's at least going to be the guy this year and next year.
Yeah.
Before that rookie deal expires, they're going to go all in on Minshew here and see
what he's got.
Around him with people because they have money now because they got rid of Nick Foles.
Yeah.
So you'll at least get 2 years of him as your dynasty QB before this is the guy, or no, he's just not it.
Yeah. No, that's great. I remember halfway through last year, I was looking like through all my leagues trying to find him, and got him in a couple leagues, like just as a free agent, just because no one had picked him up yet. And I mean, he was. I remember like every Sunday, checking my phone and being like, Minshew throws 3 touchdowns, Minshew throws 4 touchdowns, and all of a sudden you're seeing like these fantasy relevant wide receivers for the Jaguars, and you're like, what the heck? Like, they actually have an offense. So I think that's what I'm most excited about, is actually just seeing them have a contending offense, where it's always seemed like they had a good defense for a while when they had Bortles, and that was what they relied on, was Bortles and Fournette, and then the defense. But now it's like you actually have weapons. And you talk about a DJ Chark, D.D. Westbrook, Chris Conley, Keelan Cole. They could potentially dip into the draft and get one of these wide receivers as well, just to add to that. So I don't know. I'm excited to see what the Jaguars do in 2020.
Yeah, I I think they're pretty set at receiver. Just if we look at these names here,
Yeah,
yes, they could go grab one of these top guys, and I would not be mad at all. It will help them.
yeah,
But I would rather see them, maybe address offensive line and then go get them a tight end.
yeah,
You can't. I mean, we'll talk about him obviously, but Tyler Eifert is on here.
yeah.
You can't really trust in Tyler Eifert, but yeah, Minshew, he's what?
No, I'm just laughing about Tyler Eifert.
Oh yeah, man, so much talent.
Probably
Just so many injuries.
sprained his ankle talking about him.
But, yeah, exciting for sure.
All right, so talk about Leonard Fournette because I feel like this is a guy that has gone up and down since his entrance into the league, and he's like he was his first couple seasons. I feel like his first year and his second year, it was like what is going to happen to this guy because he was like missing games, being suspended for games, had injuries, but he's put up some pretty solid numbers in the last 2 years and continued that in 2019. So talk about what he did last year and what you're expecting out of him this year.
Yeah, the touchdowns just aren't there.
Yeah,
The numbers are there, the carries and the yards. You can live with those. Those are good. Maybe not. Honestly, I don't like those for third round. Because the touchdowns. Yeah, I just don't like the touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's got to improve on that.
Right.
So he's got to show that he's reliable to get red zone touches and put the ball in.
yeah,
Because elite backs do that. Zeke, he does it. McCaffrey, Kamara, all of these guys that when it's in the red zone, they get the ball. They're going to put it across the goal line. And
Yeah.
not make Minshew have to make the play. So I just want to see Leonard Fournette step up on the touchdown side. Because that's one thing that's really been missing from his fantasy pop. So he's put up some great fantasy numbers without the touchdown. So
yeah,
if he can get those extra 6 points a week because he got another touchdown, man, you're talking about a top five running back, and he's already at RB7. So
right.
yeah, all the talent is
That's
there
great.
for Fournette. I remember when he was in LSU, all the comparisons was, he's the next Adrian Peterson. Well, he's not even the best running back out of his class.
Yeah,
After
yeah,
So, McCaffrey was drafted after him in the draft, and look what he's doing. He's breaking records, setting NFL records.
Yeah.
So,
that's a good point. I think, like you look at Aaron Jones, set a Packers record last year, like 15, 16 touchdowns.
they
McCaffrey,
had 4 against the Cowboys.
yeah,
Crazy.
I know. McCaffrey had 15, 16 rushing touchdowns. Derrick Henry, 13, 14 rushing touchdowns. So I think when you have to think, I mean, Fournette, those were like the top 3-4 running backs in fantasy last year. And then you come down the list to the running back 7 at Leonard Fournette. So I got to think he has to have better touchdown upside in 2020. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him finish at the running back 7 or even potentially higher. But yeah, like you said, it's got to be the touchdowns because he's getting the carries, 265. He was a 1,000-yard rusher, but has to get into the end zone, I think, to propel himself onto that next tier. But 76 receptions, I think you have to be really happy with that. Considering his strength is necessarily his running, but they target him a lot, and he's actually proven to use his hands really well. So I think in PPR leagues, Fournette's a good buy in the third round, just hoping that he finds the end zone in 2020. But like you said, same thing. He's got a tough division, a tough schedule of games to get into the end zone for. So.
Yeah, but for this offense, they need Fournette to be that because
Right.
they're going to help Minshew.
Right. Exactly.
So, because with those elite defenses, every elite defense can be broken down if you can run on them.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Derrick Henry did to the Patriots. That's what the Titans did. All that. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like we were saying on the touchdowns, Leonard Fournette, 3 years, 17 career touchdowns.
Yeah.
15 last year. So it's
Yeah.
like, come on, man! We need to see you put it in the end zone.
Yeah, that's good.
That's what he did at LSU, man. He was getting 2 or 3 rushing touchdowns every week.
Right. And I think the majority of those 17 touchdowns came in his rookie year when he was
He had 9.
going
Yeah.
off. Yeah.
Yes.
So
He had 9 his rookie year, and he's had 8 the last 2. So,
yeah, little concerning. Little concerning.
yeah.
I, and he has had some injury issues. So just a running back to throw
Yeah,
out
for
there
sure.
is Raquel Armstead, who they drafted last year. And I think when they drafted him, actually there was a lot of dynasty owners that were like, "This is very concerning." For Leonard Fournette's value, just because they did dip into the draft early to get a running back, but Fournette was the primary back, and Raquel Armstead really didn't do a whole lot, didn't get a lot of touches, a lot of work in the game last year. So he's a 19th round pick, definitely a guy that you can pick up and stash as a handcuff to Fournette, or stash and save if Fournette goes down, and trade him. But that's just one name to know, to keep in mind heading into your fantasy football season. Let's move to wide receiver. DJ Chark, starting off, finished as the wide receiver 17. I thought I really fell in love with DJ Chark, mostly because I had him in a couple of my fantasy leagues, and I'm like, okay, this guy's coming out of nowhere. But I remember drafting him when he came in to the league, a speedy guy who didn't have a really strong 2009 or 2018 season, but 2019 turns it on. 73 receptions, over 110 targets, 1,000 yards, and 8 touchdowns. So I love his value in the 5th round. If you can get him later in the late 5th, early 6th, I like it even more. But for me, hard to see him reproduce the 8 receiving touchdowns in 2020. I think they are gonna throw the ball a lot, but 8 touchdowns is a great season. It would be
Yeah.
it's hard for me to see him duplicate that number. I think I could see him scoring 5, 6, 7, but to say, oh yeah, he's gonna be putting up wide receiver 17 numbers again, it's difficult for me to confidently say that. I don't know if you have any
Right.
thoughts on him as well.
Yeah, no, the only thing that I would like to see maybe improved is, which this isn't all on him, it could be on Minshew and Foles whenever he played, is uh, 73 catches is great, 818 targets.
Right.
That's a lot of incompletions in between there.
Yeah.
So is that him not separating as much? Or is that bad throws? Is it drops?
Right.
But other than that, he's elite. He had such a phenomenal year, and
Yeah.
it's crazy. Like all these LSU wide receivers, I forgot he was from LSU.
Yeah.
It's just LSU, man. If you're a wide receiver from LSU, hit him, man.
Dang, you're right.
I agree on the 8 touchdowns. I mean, it's gonna be hard to match that just because, like we just said, we expect Leonard Fournette to increase his touchdowns.
Yeah.
E.D. Westbrook is gonna probably increase his. Chris Conley, Keelan Cole, and Tyler Eifert. There's so many guys there that have potential.
Yeah.
Put in the touchdowns, but DJ Chark's still going to be up there.
Yeah.
And that 5th round value, that's really good value.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't watch Jaguars, so they don't know about DJ Chark, but he's legit. He's good.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, and just like you were saying with the value, if you look at D.D. Westbrook, 14th round pick in Dynasty startups right now. Chris Conley, 20th round. And Chris Conley, he actually came over from Kansas City last year when they signed him, and he had, I don't remember how many games he played in, but he was kind of in and out of the lineup often, had a lot of injuries, but when he was on the field, when he did play, he was really productive, and 47 receptions, 775 yards, and the 5 touchdowns. So, really, he did finish like hand in hand with D.D. Westbrook and Chris Conley, and most likely, I believe, played a handful less games. So, if I had to put my money on it, I would actually say that Chris Conley is going to be the wide receiver 2 in the offense, and D.D. Westbrook could potentially take a step back and be the wide receiver 3. But either way, I think the value for Chris Conley right now is great in the 20th round. If you have a dynasty league or a startup, he could potentially be available in waivers, or he's a great late round draft pick for the 2020 season. And then Keelan Cole as well. They re-signed him in the offseason, so he's back. I think he adds some good depth. I wouldn't say he's super fantasy reliant at this point, just with the other weapons that they have, but a solid receiving core that you know who the next man up is going to be if someone goes down, which is always a good thing as a fantasy owner because you can
Yeah,
kind of line your roster up with those kind of players.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, how about Mr. Injury, Tyler Eifert? The t-
Man,
the tight end 19 last year, which surprised me because I didn't even know he was on the
yeah,
field that much to finish in the top 20, but he did, and he's a 20th round draft pick. So are you taking him in the 20th round, Anthony? Or are you passing?
yeah. I think I could take him in the 20th round. Because I just raved over Jack Doyle, and then as soon as you flipped over to this, I'm like, oh, he had the same numbers.
Yeah,
I'm like,
so true.
oh, okay. I can't rave about how great Jack Doyle is and his upside and then Tyler Eifert actually had the same exact year, and he has way more.
Yeah,
But honestly, Tyler Eifert when he's 100% healthy, he's got that, maybe not Kelsey and Kittle, but he's got that Mark Andrews type, where he's going to make catches and put up touchdowns. He makes plays.
yeah.
This guy was a beast for a couple years. He was up there putting numbers with Gronk and
Gronk,
Jimmy Graham.
yeah.
So
Gronkowski 2.0, they called him.
yeah, so if Tyler Eifert can stay healthy, that's the only thing. If he can stay healthy, that's why his draft position is so low.
Yeah,
So you can get him 20th, yes, if you already have a tight end, potentially.
yeah. Don't wait.
If you're relying on him to be your number one tight end, good luck.
Yeah,
But if you can get him, to either pair up and play in a flex or play, as your backup tight end, then absolutely, because the upside of Tyler Eifert is amazing.
yeah,
And he's got a fresh start. He's out of Cincinnati, so I mean, let's be honest. The AFC North, it's tough to stay healthy in that division.
right.
Like it just is. So
Yeah,
the AFC North, and he's going to be in Jacksonville. Maybe flying to London a couple times, I guess.
yeah. He
But
might be living in London in the next couple of years.
so I mean, I love Tyler Eifert. He's actually one guy every single year, not in keeper leagues, but every single year in just a redraft league. I always draft Tyler Eifert at some point because I'm like, you know what? If he pops,
Yeah, he
I'm
pops.
So
Yeah, that's good. I think like you said, they could potentially. I know the Jaguars front office said that they could be potentially looking to draft a tight end this year, but they also do have Josh Oliver, who they drafted last year, who was supposed to pop this year and really didn't do anything. I feel like he had a concussion early on in the season, and then that just kind of sidelined him, and then a hamstring injury, never really got going, and then a couple other tight ends as well that they have. So I don't know, I really want to see Oliver succeed, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them go get one of these tight ends, just to kind of the same situation, just see if one of them, if they find a diamond in the rough, a Cole Kmet, Hunter Bryant, and see what they can do. So,
right.
but yeah, definitely get whoever's backup, Tyler Eifert, whoever the backup is to Tyler Eifert is,
Yeah,
get him.
yeah. Bryant, that's the kid from Florida Atlantic, right?
Yeah,
Oh, dude, I love that guy.
yeah,
That dude, he is going to be a beast.
yeah.
You know,
I know a lot of people are saying that the 2020 class isn't very strong, but
he's a beast.
there's a couple of these guys that I really like that I think are going to be great NFL
Him and
tight ends.
yeah, him and the kid from Cincinnati as well. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Yeah,
They like at the combine, they just kept comparing him to a former Cincinnati Bearcat, Travis Kelsey.
yeah,
Like, I'm like, I don't think he's gonna be Travis Kelsey, but he definitely has the athleticism and
Yeah.
size.
yeah.
But,
And that's what succeeds in the NFL right now is those huge athletic tight ends. They might not do everything well, but they do one thing well, and that is be a physical freak, and they just find
Right.
ways to get the ball in their hand. And
yeah,
Travis Kelsey obviously is more than that, but that's where
Oh, yeah.
that's why he shines, is because he can run dudes over. He's runs past linebackers, runs past corners. So yeah, I agree with that. Okay, so the wild card team of last year, I didn't even put these in order of how they finished last year. I don't know if they did turn out that way, but um, here we go.
It's the
Here we are.
Jaguars.
Yeah.
People, it's Titans. Don't worry. See the Titan logo.
What'd you say? Oh my gosh.
It's all good.
I didn't even see it.
Nah, you're
Yes, the Tennessee Jaguars. Okay, Tennessee Titans, who were the wild card team last year and knock off the Ravens in the second round of the playoffs, and here they are. As honestly, a lot of people are saying this is a dark horse Super Bowl 2020 team. They have a lot of really good weapons. I think that they can improve in some areas, but are they your favorite to win the NFC South at this point?
I would probably have to say yes, just because we didn't really see Houston get better,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna wait and see with Philip Rivers and the Colts offense. But so I'd probably venture to pick the Titans, absolutely. But we'll see if Ryan Tannehill can continue his great play,
Yeah.
because we know Derrick Henry's going to be Derrick Henry.
Right.
He's going to be what you know he's going to be that. But is Ryan Tannehill going to move the ball down the field and not throw interceptions again? We'll see.
Yeah.
The defense is elite. A.J. Brown is an elite wide receiver, no doubt. As a rookie, look at the numbers he put up. That's insane.
Yeah, I know.
That's like Des Bryant type numbers right there,
Considering he wasn't even the best receiver from his college
From
team.
Ole Miss,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Crazy. And he's pretty
Yes.
he's pretty much the best, other than Debo, the best wide receiver in the class.
Yeah,
Last year,
so many from last year, man.
Yeah.
So many. Crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like Titans.
Yeah.
I like him. I like Vrabel. He's got that New England Patriot, Ohio State mentality. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, just that hard work, blue collar. We're gonna put our nose in the dirt and just get the job done today.
Yeah.
That's big in football. That's like one of the most important things in football.
Yeah. That's good.
Patriots aren't ever the most talented team. Hardly ever.
No.
But they're always the most disciplined, and that's what helps you win games, and that's what Tennessee does.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. I think, like, when I'm looking at the ADP right now for Ryan Tannehill, 175, put him in the 15th round, and then looking at like Philip Rivers, who is a 20th round startup draft pick, but also finished as the QB 15 instead of the QB 21. So that those are things to pay attention to as you're heading into your fantasy, whether it's redraft or dynasty leagues, to just be like, okay, what kind of value am I actually getting? Obviously, Tannehill came in late to the Tennessee offense, and I forget how many games that he actually did start for the Titans, but either way.
12. 10. Sorry, 10.
10. Okay, so yeah, so he probably actually would have finished a lot higher, but he also had a really strong finish to the season, so it's interesting to see if he can actually do that for 16, 17 games, which I feel like has always been the rap on Tannehill. Is like he would have these games where he would just go off and people are like, this is the next quarterback of Miami, of the Dolphins. He's the franchise quarterback, and then the next year he couldn't even finish with 5 solid games. So I think that's something to notice. But I mean, he's a great game manager. It seems like he's found his role with the Titans. And they move on from Marcus Mariota, so he's they sign him to the huge deal, and he's the guy. So we'll see what he can do.
Yeah. So if you do, the 22 touchdowns in 10 games started. So if you stretch that average out to 16 games, that's around 35 touchdowns a game.
Right.
36. So with probably 9 picks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's some legit numbers. That takes your QB 21 up to probably around top 10.
Yeah.
Maybe, probably that's definitely top 10.
Yeah.
And the yards is going to be up around close to 4,000.
Yeah.
Maybe you're at so if he stays on that pace, then absolutely, man. If you can get Tannehill in the 15th round, but like you said, we see this from Tannehill a lot, where it looks like it's time for him to be a beast.
Yeah.
And he's so
A beast to the least. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But so many times, the change of scenery does things for people.
Yeah.
maybe the change of scenery from Miami, which is just so dysfunctional, to Tennessee with Mike Vrabel, solid staff,
Yeah.
and a 4 or 5 year lucrative contract now.
Yeah.
Maybe he's ready and poised to be in that range.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, it's tough to compare when you see him and Philip Rivers. One was drafted lower but rated higher. It's like,
Yeah.
what do you do? But
Yeah.
if we're talking dynasty, I'm taking Tannehill over Rivers all day.
All right. I like that. That's a good point. I mean, in Dynasty, you don't draft just because of how they did the year prior, what you think they're going to do this year. You draft for the long haul, and Rivers could literally retire after this year, or the year after. But Tannehill's going to be in the league for the next couple of years, like for sure. So, and he's the proven starter. So, let's talk about his running back. The Titans' main offensive weapon, Derrick Henry, finished as the running back 5, has an ADP of 18, so being drafted early in the second round of startup drafts. 303 carries. Oh my gosh. For 1,500 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 18 receptions, which, I mean, that's just the icing on the cake, the sprinkles, the cherry on top for Henry. And he actually, I think he had like one receiving touchdown that was like 90 yards or something, like some crazy thing where he basically did like
little screen or something.
Yeah, the Marshawn Lynch beast mode run, just took it to the house. So honestly, I don't know if you can have a better year as a running back than that.
Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
That's about it.
True.
That's about it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a beast, and they're paying him franchise money this year on the franchise tag, so he, for him, it's like he basically has to replicate what he did this year to get that contract next year. So that gives me hope that he's going to be balling out, and that the Titans they're paying him the money, so they're going to use him the exact same way in 2020.
Yeah.
They're like, well, this is basically our year. This is our window to get in. So I would expect, I don't know if he'll top 300 carries this year, but definitely up in that
250 to 280.
Yeah, 250. Yeah, I was gonna say 260, 280. So
Yeah.
definitely somewhere up in there that you can rely upon. And I think still the touchdown upside is the exact same. I think he's very capable of hitting that 16 rushing touchdowns as well. So
Absolutely.
there's not a whole lot to argue against Derrick Henry at this point.
The only thing to argue is 18th average draft position.
Yeah.
Man, that's a steal.
Yeah.
Dude, like if you get him 18, gosh, basically, if you think about it, if you're like on a, what can I think of it right now?
Yeah.
If you're in a 10-team league and you got the number 1 or number 2 pick,
Yeah.
you're McCaffrey or Barkley, and then when it grabs back around to you at 17, 18,
Yeah.
sure, let me get Derrick Henry to go with
Yeah.
McCaffrey or Barkley. Why not?
Nice little 1-2 punch right
What?
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or even for teams that are drafting, like if it's a 12 or 14 team league and you're in that like 8 to 9 spot, by the time it comes back around to you, you could have like a Devontae Adams, Derrick Henry duo, and that's great,
Oh, yeah.
And rather, I guess I would think if you had the 101, you'd probably get McCaffrey, and then if it came back to you at the 212, it'd probably be like a Diggs or someone in there.
Yeah.
Would you rather have McCaffrey and Diggs or Derrick Henry and Devontae Adams?
Oh, man.
That's like way too hard of a question.
I'd probably do McCaffrey and Diggs just because Devontae Adams has kind of had some off and on injuries.
Yeah, I'd probably go with that too.
And Rodgers, the last couple of years, it seems like he just keeps kind of going away from the past for some reason.
Yeah.
Which he's still elite, so.
Yeah.
But you can't go wrong with either.
No, yeah.
I like Devontae Adams way more than Stephon Diggs, but
McCaffrey still put up like 100 more points than Henry in 2019. So
exactly. So it's basically
yeah. Okay. AJ Brown, wide receiver, has soared up the draft boards. He's now a 3rd round pick in startup drafts. So at 21 years old, sorry. I don't know if he's 21 years old. I just read wide receiver 21.
He probably is.
Yeah,
dude.
he's probably 21, 22. But finished as the wide receiver 21 last year, which is really impressive considering that Tannehill only played in those 10 games. And, everyone thought, okay, it's going to be the Corey Davis show and A.J. Brown's going to be the next man up, but didn't happen. 52 receptions, 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns. And honestly, I think he gets 80 receptions in 2020. I think he's going to be an 80 reception player.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. You know, and if you look at that, 50 catches over 1,000 yards, you put another 30 catches to that 1,000. That's
Yeah, 13.
that's the top 5, top 10 range.
Yeah.
That's Chris Godwin style.
Yeah, exactly.
I do. I love AJ Brown. I remember through the combine, like my favorite wide receiver ever is Des Bryant, and that's exactly who he reminds me of.
Yeah.
He actually might be even faster though. So, but AJ Brown, man, for the next, he's legit, man. Dude, third round is really good. I mean, 27. That's exactly where he should be. I think some people could reach for him, and I don't think it would be a bad reach if you can get him a little earlier than 27.
Yeah.
But if you can get him at that range, dude, man, jump on it because he's the clear cut favorite, number one. Corey Davis, they showed it last year. Hey, AJ Brown's he's our guy.
Yeah. Bye Corey Davis. Honestly, I feel bad for Titans fans because I feel like we've been waiting for this guy to reach his potential, but it seems like every year you draft him high and then he just plummets. And even this year, like, he didn't have any competition, and then AJ Brown just completely overtakes the whole receiving corpse. So if I'm a Corey Davis owner, I really,
selling.
in my opinion, I'm selling him for whatever I can get, and if it's poor, I don't really care.
Yeah, well, I mean, just trading for a draft pick. What are you going to get somebody in a rookie draft that's worse than?
Yeah.
40, just 600. I mean.
Yeah, because he was rated as the one. It was either he was in the top 3 of wide receiver prospects when he came in out of Central. Was it Central Michigan or was it Western Michigan? I forget what. One of
West.
Yeah,
it was
Western Michigan.
I remember Ohio State played them. Yes.
Yeah.
He tore us up. He was legit.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what everyone.
Man, he tore up Ohio State's defense.
Yeah. That's what everyone thought he was going to do. So, I don't know. I'm really surprised at this point that he's still being a 12th round pick because there's no way, after seeing what he's done over the last 2-3 years, that I'm picking him there. But I'll pass on him. And honestly, I would take Adam Humphries over him just based on ADP and value. A wide receiver 80 and a wide receiver 64. There's only 15 receivers in between the two, and one I can get for basically nothing. And he basically, other than the yards, pretty much had the exact same output in 2019. So
yeah, I would expect Tennessee to go out and get a nice two to put behind AJ Brown this year. So
So tight end, we'll just finish up the Titans real quick. Delaney Walker moves on, and I think that the Titans, this could be another team that goes and gets a tight end just because I feel like an idiot asking this because I heard it today on a podcast, but is his name Jonnu or Jonu? Do you know?
I just always said Jonnu Smith.
That's what I've said too. Yeah, we'll call him Jonnu. Yeah, I see.
New Smith. Whatever.
It seems like every time that Delaney Walker went down, every writer was like, okay, this is the guy. He's about to take over the offense, and never really did it. He finished as the tight end 20 last year. He's being drafted as a 20th round. I'm sorry, a 12th round draft pick, but 35 receptions, 439 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I feel like the last 2 tight ends that we've talked about, Jack Doyle in the 20th round, Tyler Eifert in the 20th round, fairly similar numbers. Obviously, Johnny Smith was a tight end 2 behind Delaney Walker last year, but I personally, I just don't think that he's gonna be cut out to be that I think people want him to be that clear-cut number one Delaney Walker 2.0, but I just personally don't think that he's the guy. So I wouldn't be surprised for them to grab one of these guys in the draft. I don't know if you want to add anything on him or.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like him a lot just because I like the athletic ability he has, and he was really each year in college he got better and better, which obviously you should.
Yeah.
Something case. So I think the fact that now he is the clear cut number one, I think he has potential. I like him a lot. I know you might not, and obviously, like we said, he has the same numbers as those guys, but he's definitely going to be the clear cut number one now, depending on the draft. So I could see him having a 50 catch to 600 to 700 yards and a couple more touchdowns. But that's just my prediction.
Yeah.
I really like him. I just like his athleticism and his ability. And Delaney Walker was elite in that offense for a long time. So
yeah,
if he gets the opportunities that Delaney Walker had, then I think he can excel at them.
Okay.
But
would you draft him in the 12th round?
I think it would just depend on how my roster. It depends on how your roster is looking.
Yeah. Would you draft him as your tight end one?
Ooh, well, if I don't get one of those top four, and I'm set at running back and receiver at this point of the draft, then I would take him.
Yeah.
Just because I'm not going to say I believe in him, and then you ask me that, and I'm like, no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I believe in him. I think he has a legit chance to put up some good numbers next year in that offense.
Yeah.
Especially tight ends they seem to excel when they have great running offenses. Tight ends are always like right up there.
Yeah.
Jason Litt for so long, DeMarco Murray, Marion Barber, Zeke. When these guys are dominating the game, then all of a sudden, boom, the tight end just pops, and they just steal touchdowns in the red zone because everybody's so focused on that run game.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So
don't steal them from Derrick Henry. Yeah, that's a good point. That makes sense. I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see what he does for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Our last team. Hang on a second. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, unstable connection popped up.
As well.
So our last team, I got this one right. The Texans, Houston Texans. Quarterback Deshaun Watson, obviously you could say he's one of the losers of the free agency period just because of the slap to the face that he got from Bill O'Brien and the Houston Texans. But he's still one of the top dynasty quarterbacks. Finished as a QB5. He's a fifth round pick. So being selected after Mahomes, after Lamar Jackson, and somewhere in between Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson. But last year, 3,800 yards, 67% passing completion, 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. The big thing for him was the 7 rushing touchdowns. And I think someone asked on a podcast today that I was listening to, does Deshaun Watson have to run more in 2020 for the Texans to be successful? And I don't think so. I think they're going to be able to get him the weapons, but at the same point, I don't even know if you want him running anymore, any more than he has to. Like the 7 rushing touchdowns, he'll take that, but he already gets hit and sacked more than pretty much any other quarterback. So, I think you just want to keep giving him protection and getting weapons around him. But in my personal rankings in Dynasty, I have Watson as the QB6 for 2020 behind Murray and behind Prescott, just based on the weapons.
Absolutely.
Nothing about his game. 26 and 12 and 3,800 yards is great, but I think just the weapons. They got to get him some help.
Agree, 100%. I would love to see Houston get T. Higgins. Give him another Clemson boy.
Yeah.
I feel like T. Higgins would fit in perfectly. He's not going to be DeAndre Hopkins, but he would fit in perfectly to that kind of role, especially a great red zone threat.
Yeah.
For Deshaun. But, you can't go wrong if you get Deshaun Watson, but I'm with you. He's right behind Dak, Kyler, and Russell Wilson just
Yeah,
because
yeah. Forgot about
of the
Russ.
weapons.
Yeah.
Just because of the weapons, you know. So, um, but we'll see because Deshaun Watson has that. He has that fire. You know, he has that competitive spirit. So, you know, he as upset as he probably is with Bill O'Brien. You know, as mad as he probably is about losing DeAndre. I'm sure that he's hearing everybody say he doesn't have weapons, and he's
Yeah.
just say, just watch me.
Yeah.
I don't know how that ties into fantasy, um,
Yeah.
but obviously you can't go wrong if you get Deshaun Watson. You know, I'm not gonna be like, oh man, what are you doing to get Deshaun Watson?
Yeah.
No, one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, I mean, if people are down on him and they pass on him, I'm happy. Honestly, I'm happy to get him as the sixth quarterback. You know, just because he has the potential to be. Oh, uh, he has the potential to be
Yeah,
the number one quarterback. You know, he's
yeah,
when
absolutely.
he's on, he's up there with Lamar and Mahomes.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, elite. He's elite,
Yeah.
and I agree with you on the running. I like seeing the 7 rushing touchdowns, but I don't like seeing my quarterback run around and getting planted by 3 linemen while he throws a touchdown pass. I'm like, oh dude,
No.
and get smiling. I'm like, I'm glad you're smiling, but trust me, these hits they don't last. You know,
Yeah.
even Andrew Luck is retiring so early is because he was so tired of his body, just how he felt every morning. You know, because he was just like this.
Right.
He's not athletic as Deshaun, but he would take hits and he welcomed the hits. Like
Yeah.
so,
But they did trade away their number one wide receiver, so they had to have gotten a great running back in return, right?
great,
David Johnson.
15, great
Um,
2015.
yeah, I'm still trying to wrap my head around this trade.
I'm just still trying to wrap my head around Bill O'Brien is literally trying to justify it now. You know, I don't know if you've seen the last couple
Yeah,
of
yeah, saying that he was going to
he
ask for more money.
he still had 3 years on his contract and he wanted more money. That ain't gonna work, so we shipped him out. Okay, I get that, but
Yeah.
it's,
That tells me that you have no trust built with your players, in my opinion. Like, if that's the way that you see it, is that a player who's the number one or two wide receiver in the league every year wants a pay raise, and you can't even have that conversation. You're just like, all right, see ya.
yeah,
That's that's ridiculous to me.
for nothing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but yeah, let's get to it. David Johnson.
Running back 37 last year. He was a top five fantasy player a couple of years ago, but has really gone downhill. Injury issues got into it, then led to a crowded backfield in Arizona. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, last year he had 94 attempts, 345 yards, and only 2 touchdowns. He's gonna be at this point the running back that starts for the Texans, but I'm just so concerned about his health and like where he's at physically as a running back, just because we haven't seen that explosiveness or an ability to be the number one running back of a team in the last couple of years. So I'm definitely gonna pass on him in the 11th round. I'm gonna wait to see if he drops a little bit more. Um, I mean, in my opinion, he's just not a player that I want to roster at this point.
No, I mean you can wait 5 more rounds and maybe even longer than 5 more rounds and get his backup running back who has better overall numbers.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
finish higher and everything. So
yeah,
yeah, I don't get it. I mean, maybe he's never going to be the guy he used to be. So I just would rather not have him on my roster at all.
yeah,
I mean, I'm talking even if I get to like the 15th, 16th round and he's there and I'm looking at it, like I'm sure I could find a young running back like a Tony Pollard or somebody that actually has some upside
right,
to them.
yeah,
Way that I don't have to worry about every week. Oh, there's wait, what is this? There's a notification that's Dave Johnson. Let me click on that.
yeah.
He is questionable.
Injured.
Oh, he's questionable. He's questionable every single day.
Yeah,
Goodness, man. Okay, so yeah, I'm completely passing on David Johnson.
yeah. He's probably already questionable to start the 2020 season. Yeah, so his backup is Duke Johnson, who kind of got thrown into an interesting role last year when Lamar Miller tore his ACL or his Achilles, I think, right before one of the two right before the beginning of the season. So Duke Johnson has been in this role now twice, once with the Browns and then once with the Texans, where everyone's like, all right, it's his offense. He's going to be the running back one. And then when he gets the workload, nope. And even last year, only 44 receptions for three receiving touchdowns. Like, that is his role as a receiving back. And even in that category, didn't do a whole lot. So, he still got 80 carries, but that was more so out of need and necessity than planned offense for the Texans. So he's definitely not going to be a running back 29. He's going to be outside of the top 30 in my opinion, and probably another running back as well that I'm going to stay away from, just because even if David Johnson goes down, it hasn't been proven from Duke Johnson to be that running back one role that can handle the workload. So I don't know if you agree with that, or if you think he's.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the best fantasy option for Texans running backs, they released him. He's a free agent, or maybe not released him. Was Carlos Hyde?
Yeah.
Carlos put up solid numbers for them.
Yeah.
Instead, they bring in David Johnson, who hasn't done nothing that Carlos Hyde has done the last few years, and they have Duke Johnson, who backed up Carlos Hyde last year. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would rather see Houston bring him back because he put up solid numbers. He had over 1,000 yards. He had 6 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he's not here. So
yeah, that's true.
To these running backs, if obviously we could.
Yeah, definitely a player or a position that I'm going to keep an eye on for the rest of OTA's training camp, seeing if they sign a veteran, seeing if they bring in a rookie in the draft, which I would assume that they will. They got to bring in someone just for security and honestly for Deshaun Watson's confidence. They got to bring someone in. So
J.K. Dobbins would fit well there.
Yes. I like that. Yeah.
Protection.
Yeah.
He's really good in pass protection. I feel like every team we talk about, J.K. Dobbins is just the perfect fit for him.
Oh yeah, I mean he's gonna be great. He's gonna be a great pro.
He's good at even Taylor and Swift, but yeah.
So let's talk about the Texans wide receivers. They make a huge free agency signing in Randall Cobb. Who gets a three-year, $27 million deal, which is surprising for a 20th round dynasty startup wide receiver. But I mean, last year 55 receptions, 828 yards, and 3 touchdowns as the wide receiver 3 of the
pretty much 4 because Jason Witten that tight end.
Right, of the Cowboys. So he kind of slides into that role as well with the Texans, and with Kenny Stills, with Will Fuller, you don't really know. Well, that Will Fuller, you pretty much know what you're gonna get. Is he scored 3 touchdowns last year, and he scored all of them in one game. And I was looking at his stats, and I'm like, now I know he had a 3 touchdown game, so he had to have scored like 5 touchdowns in 2019. And then I looked,
like Sammy Watkins,
and I'm like, no, it really was only 3. Are you kidding me? So yeah, Will Fuller's he's the spoken wide receiver 1 of this team, but a lot of injury questions, and he's basically a deep route guy, which is Deshaun Watson's strength. They like to go down the field and get him in open space, but that just comes with a lot of inconsistencies that you would kind of see in like a Deshaun Jackson, a hit or miss type wide receiver. I'm not going to spend a 10th round pick on him. I'll just find a receiver that I can count on for the receptions, more so than the touchdown upside, because 49 receptions and 671 yards doesn't scream 10th round wide receiver to me at that point.
Yeah, I agree. Depending on what they do in the draft, I honestly think he's not going to be their wide receiver 1, but when it comes down to fantasy productions, Randall Cobb, I think, is going to be their best fantasy wide receiver on this team. Wow.
Including a rookie receiver?
It just depends on who that is.
Okay. Yeah.
If you get CeeDee Lamb, it's Derek Judy or Justin Jefferson, one of these top guys.
Yeah.
Then I think they'll step in. But if these are your 3 guys, I think fantasy points wise, not the best player, but fantasy points wise, I think Randall Cobb.
Okay.
because he's so reliable. I mean, you had him for years in Green Bay.
Yeah.
He's not going to drop the ball. He's going to be in. He's going to play.
Yeah.
And I think his touchdowns will improve with Deshaun Watson.
Okay.
So.
I like that. Yeah, I think he'll find a good spot with Watson. I think he'll be that good outlet receiver. Obviously he's not a DeAndre Hopkins, but that's who Watson went to when he needed an outlet was Hopkins, and I think he finds a different route and way to do that with Cobb as well. Just kind of because he is that short, shifty guy in the slot. So I think I think you're right on that.
Yeah, I know this isn't the NFL, but I still look at Deshaun Watson's college career and his number one guy, even though he had, what can I think of his receivers that he had at Clemson right now? Whatever.
Watkins.
Yeah, he had those
Hopkins
guys.
and Watkins.
Yes,
right?
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Those two guys. But if you look, one of the most reliable guys he always went to was his slot guy, Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah.
Hunter Renfrow, every year, was making catches for Deshaun Watson and putting up great numbers, and that's what I see. I think Randall Cobb, just a football player, he knows how to get open and help his quarterback. Randall Cobb, I think he's going to have one of his best career years.
And that's honestly what the Texans haven't had. When they drafted Kiki QT, he was supposed to be that guy in the slot, but just the injuries, the inconsistencies, they really haven't had a true slot receiver.
Yeah,
so,
they even tried Braxton Miller, and I was super excited for that.
Yeah, that's right.
I think Randall Cobb's going to thrive, man. Just like Cole Beasley did in Dallas. Like maybe not Julian Edelman fully, but Julian Edelman, Wes Welker, that type of role.
Yeah.
So.
That's good. Okay, let's finish this up with the tight ends.
They all have the same numbers.
Oh, I know. The whole AFC South. You pretty much draft the lowest rated one. Darren Fells, he's right now going, surprisingly, with being the tight end 17, is going undrafted in most fantasy leagues, and that's mostly because he's old as crap. But he had the only thing that set him apart from literally the rest of the AFC South tight ends was the 7 touchdowns, which was insane. Considering if you look at the rest of his career, this was an outlier year for him. So he's gonna be the starter, supposedly the starter in 2020. But two names that you want to keep an eye on are Jordan Thomas, who's been there I think for 2 years now, and then Kahale Warring, who they drafted last year, who was supposed to be their up and coming tight end, and people have raved about him. You can read what he did in the draft and just his physical attributes, but was out most of the year. I think it was concussions, and missed pretty much all I don't even think he played. I think he missed the whole 2019 season. I think they're just like, we're just gonna wait and see. So definitely keep your eye on him as they do training camp and just see how he's producing, because he could be the guy that steps in. If he's healthy, he could be the guy that steps into the tight end 1 role. So I'm not stoked about any of those players other than I think Warring in dynasty leagues just for the upside. If you can get Fells, you could probably get him undrafted. He's worth a stab just for the touchdown upside with Watson. But that's the tight ends.
Yeah. Where did Kahale Warring play in school, university? I'm trying to see. I've never even heard of that guy.
I feel like it was, I want to say Ole Miss, but I don't think it was Ole Miss.
Sorry. San Diego State, okay.
Okay. Yeah.
San Diego State. But,
yeah,
I'm with you. I don't know. I think I'd rather see if they can get one of those guys in the draft. There aren't many tight ends this year, obviously, but
yeah,
I'm not excited on any of them either.
Yeah. Do it in the draft. Okay, so that's the AFC South. But predictions for, we maybe said this at the beginning of the episode, but predictions 1 through 4, how they finish in the conference.
Ooh.
Texans, Titans, Jaguars, and Colts.
I'm gonna go Titans, Colts, Texans, and Jaguars.
Dang. Okay.
But it's going to be just like last year. I think we're going to see like 10-6, 9-7,
yeah,
8. 7-9, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like one of those where it's like we're week 15 or 16, and we're like, who's going to win the division? I
Yeah.
don't know. They're all 8-6 right now or something, you know.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna go. I'll go Titans, Texans, Colts, Jaguars.
yeah,
I think. I think that the Titans go get a really great wide receiver. Sorry,
yeah,
the Texans. Did I say Titans? The Texans go get a great wide receiver, and
yeah,
I think. I think they're fine. You know.
yeah. Ask me again after the draft. You know, if we
Yeah.
got CeeDee Lamb lining up for the Houston Texans, then I'm probably gonna go Houston to win the division. To be quite honest,
Yeah.
but, or at least very close with Tennessee.
Yeah.
But as it stands right now, I'll take Indianapolis over Houston for that number 2 spot.
All
So
right. I like that. I like that little upset pick.
all right,
All right, Anthony, you wanna take us off of here?
we leaving.
Yeah, I think that's a good.
Okay, I didn't know if we were doing the rookie thing because we didn't do that last episode. So,
Well, let's do that on Wednesday.
all right, well, everybody, if you're tuning into YouTube, or if you're gonna, just keep checking into our Instagram. Obviously, we just touched AFC South. We'll be back in a few days. Please send in some questions because we love to interact with you. That episode we did last week with all those questions, it's amazing. We want to talk to you guys. We want to interact. Um, but yeah, the AFC South, there it was. We all the players to look for, the players to stay away from. We'll be back with another division in a few days, as well as our top 10 rookie rankings going in. Just offensive weapons, not overall rookie rankings. And we'll be back with that, like I said. So this is Anthony. That's Noah. We are signing off. Thank you guys. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and give us a follow on Twitch, Instagram, and we'll see you guys next time.
Catch you on the next one. Later.